I'm making a vegetarian chili soup. Originally, it was supposed to be chili. It was a new recipe, but it turned out to be more soup-like. But it has a lot of vegetables in it, and I like it better than some other vegetarian chilies I've tasted in the past that are just a mouthful of beans or a mouthful of soy-based something that's supposed to be like meat, and there's none of that in here. So let's get started. We're going to make this in a crock pot, also known as a slow cooker. So it's something that you can make and put in the crock pot and set it to cook for a good 6 or 7 hours, and you're good to go. The first thing I did to get ready to make this chili in the crock pot was to prepare the beans. And the original recipe I'm using says to cook the beans, but that's not a good idea. So I started with dry beans. These are just dried kidney beans. You can use any kind of beans you want. But I only did the soaking method. So in this case, I put all of these beans first dry into a colander in the sink and rinse them and pick through them in case any were looking icky. Then I put them into a large pan on the stove with 10 cups of water on high heat. I brought all that water to a boil, and once the water was boiling, I let it boil for 2 minutes. Then I turned off the heat, and I have a gas stove, so I could just keep it on the same burner. If you have an electric stove, make sure you move the pan to a cool burner. Then I put a lid on the pan and kept it covered with the lid for 1 hour. Then after the hour was up, I poured the beans into the colander in the sink again and rinsed them. And then I put them in this container. I actually did this ahead of time and then put the beans in the refrigerator. But you can do that earlier in the day. The next step typically with beans is to cook them, but if you do that, they'll be too mushy. Because right now they're fairly tender, but they're going to end up cooking in the crock pot. So that's how you get the beans ready, and you can pour the beans into the crock pot at this point. Next, I'm going to be chopping some vegetables. So this recipe calls for 1 cup of coarsely chopped cabbage. So I have some cabbage here, and I just cut a slice off, and I'm just cutting it coarsely, just like they said. And I have a 2-cup measuring cup here, and I'm just going to, I know it's a liquid, but I'm just going to put it in here and say, yeah, that's a cup. So it's probably more, but that's fine. If I cut it smaller, it'd be a cup. Then the other things I'm going to cut up are the green pepper into bite-sized pieces, and the onion, and the potatoes. I haven't washed any of this yet, and I'm going to mince 4 garlic cloves, and we'll do that next. To cut the green pepper, I'm just going to cut out the stem, I'm going to take out these over the sink, which you can't see, the seeds and the inner part as much as I can reach. And then slice it into bite-sized pieces. I don't like these white parts so much. They're just not nice to look at. And just think about how big they should be based on bite-sized pieces that go into chili. And shake off any seeds that you see. If you don't want these white parts here, just trim them off like that. And I'm putting them into the measuring cup with the cabbage because they're going to go in at the same time. And my little dog stopped licking her bowl for her dinner because she knows I'm chopping vegetables and she likes green pepper. Oh my gosh. Okay, there's a piece there. And she likes all these little white parts, so she expects a snack. Okay, and then I have this one. can fast forward through some of this if you want. If you don't want to see me chop the rest of the green pepper, that's fine. And again, I'm cutting these white parts out because I just don't think they look nice. But you can eat them, it's not a big deal. Try to get rid of all the stray little green pepper seeds. Okay, so that's the green pepper. And then I have, I'll do the potatoes next. I'm going to get a different bowl for that. The onion's going to go on there. So the potato, this is kind of I thought this was an unusual ingredient for chili, but since I'm vegetarian, I like anything that's a little bit different. And again, I'm just doing it in bite-sized pieces, kind of making it up as I go along. And these are red potatoes. I'd already scrubbed them just when I paused the video. And you keep the skin on. And I'm doing 2, which, I don't know, one might have been enough. And I wanted the really small potatoes, but when I went grocery shopping, they didn't have any. So I bought 2. Let me pick up the other one so you can see how big it is. So it's this big. These little, oh wait, I don't like how that looks. I scrub this with a scrubber. Okay. And the second one. I'm just putting it in a bowl. Third piece. And fourth. All right. And now I'm going to slice the onion. And I've already taken the paper off, but I'm going to cut off these ends. And then slice it in half. And then lay one half down, flat. And then what I'm going to do is not quite cut it all the way to the end. I'm going to leave this end uncut. And then I'm slicing this way. And here, let me see. Now I should be left-handed. Let's see. Hopefully you can see that. Okay. And then I'll turn this around so you can see. Again, I should be left-handed. And then I'm going to cut them crosswise. So I just cut them lengthwise, and I'm slicing them. All right. And then I'm going to get to the end here, which is still together. And then I'm just going to chop it. And I'm going to put that in this bowl. Because the first thing we're going to do is saute the onion and the garlic together in a large pan, just to get them browned and get them started. Then we'll throw a few other of these vegetables in with it for a few minutes. And then we'll put it all in the slow cooker. Okay, so I'm doing the same thing with the other onion. Not going far enough though. And again, think of the size of the pieces of onion. I'm not going to turn it around. You saw it last time. Think of the size of the pieces of onion you want to be eating in the chili. And that will help you know how big to cut them. Okay, so this was the onion. And now I'm going to mince the garlic, and this time I'm going to use my garlic mincer, which I've had for years. So this is my garlic mincer. Looks like this. And it's got a little thing to help get the little pieces out. So what you're going to do is take one piece of garlic and put it in here. And I'm actually going to, let's see if I can slice it over the bowl. And I'm going to push through. And then I'm going to take my smaller knife, and not the sharp side, I'm going to use the dull side of the knife to slice these. Okay, so now that, well, it's kind of stuck inside. So what I do, I open it up and I take this green piece, and it has these little teeth in it, and push it through, and then I can stick my finger in and grab the other pieces. Okay, so I'm going to do all four. I'm going to do 4 of them the same way. Oh, this is really coming out easy. I just bought this garlic too. Sometimes I wonder if some of the produce gets frozen on its way over to the grocery store. Okay, that's 3 and 4. Okay, do it this way. You see that garlic coming out. Alright. Get rid of the extra. And now I'm going to go over to a large saucepan and heat up some olive oil. I'm turning on the stove to about a medium to medium-high heat, and I'm going to put in 2 tablespoons of olive oil. So 1 swirl around is usually 1, so that's about 2 tablespoons. And we'll let that heat up for about 30 seconds, then we'll put in the onion and the garlic. Now that the oil's heated up, I'm going to add the onions and the garlic. When garlic is minced like this, you want to be really careful to not burn it. And we're going to saute this for somewhere between 3 minutes and 5 minutes. And I'm not going to make you watch this. You'll want to stir it every now and then, at least every 30 seconds. Again, you just don't want that garlic to get burned. All right, I want to show you one more trick. Whenever you work with onion and garlic, I bought one of these odor-off metal pieces years ago, and if you wash your hands under water but put your hands on this metal piece, it will get rid of much of the smell of the garlic and the onion. You can also use a little soap, but if you use soap alone, it usually isn't enough. So these are pretty cheap. I don't know what I paid for it. I've had it that long. But check that out if you don't like the smell of onion and garlic on your hands. It's been just about a minute and a half, and I'm just giving it a stir again, making sure that the garlic gets cooked, but not burned. I cooked this for 4 minutes, and they're looking pretty good. And the garlic is getting a tiny bit golden, but it's not burning. So now I'm going to put in the cabbage and the green pepper, and the potatoes. Apparently my skillet could be bigger. Or you could put this in a large saucepan because it'd be a lot easier to turn. Okay, so this recipe is new to me. And now you want to cook this for 3 minutes. But this would have been better in a big saucepan or a Dutch oven or something. Okay, so turn it over. Turn it over, the stuff is coming out. Cook it for 3 minutes, and then we'll do the next step. Those vegetables are almost ready and finished with my 3 minutes. So now I'm going to start putting things into the crock pot. So here I have a 28-ounce can of diced tomatoes. Just make sure they're plain and not flavored. You can get petite diced or regular. And then the recipe calls for several other things that are very interesting. Oh, there they go. Hang on a second. It calls for 5 cups of either vegetable broth or water. So I have vegetable broth here. Let me show you. But it's only 4 cups. So I'm going to do all 4 cups of this and then a cup of water. So I have a cup of water here. So I get a total of 5 cups of liquid. Then the other interesting thing that's in this recipe is a half a cup of brown rice. Now, yeah, I know, rice and chili, but it is vegetarian chili, and sometimes I've tasted vegetarian chili that other people have made, and it's just full of beans. So, anyway, half a cup of brown rice. Brown is better than white. If all you have is white, that's fine. And then, of course, the beans. So I'm going to put the beans in. And then, for my spices, I have 1 teaspoon of chili powder and half a teaspoon of cumin. I don't know if that's going to be enough chili powder for me, but I'm going to taste it later and maybe put in more. And now I'm going to get my skillet and very carefully put everything in here. And, oops, last one. I heard the dog. The dog is coming over to check out what fell, see if it's something she likes. Oh, maybe it is, but it's hot. Alright, so that's the veggies. And you notice I'm not putting in any salt and pepper right now. When beans are cooking, you do not want to use salt. We'll do salt at the end. So now I'm just going to give this a stir. It doesn't need much of a stir right now, but I'm going to put a lid on it. And then 2 more important things. First of all, you have to remember to plug it in. One time when I was younger, I started the crock pot and I didn't plug it in, so that was bad. Okay, I'm going to lower this, and then the other thing you have to remember to do is turn it on. And we're going to be putting it on the low setting, so low right here, and we're going to cook that for somewhere between 5 hours and 7 hours. So I'll be checking it every now and then. I've got a spoon on the side over here, and a spoon holder ready to stir it, and we'll be checking this out. I'm going to leave the camera ready, and we'll be looking inside later to see how it's going. It's been about an hour and a half, and I was just stirring this. It is far from done. It's too soupy. It should be getting thick. And interesting. No, it's just been an hour and a half, so not even halfway done. I'm going to wait another hour. If it's still really soupy, I might even turn it to high for an hour just because I want this to thicken up. It's been 4 hours, and I still think it's just too thin for me. Maybe the person who created this recipe likes it thin. So I'm going to turn up the heat to high for a little while, and I'm going to put in these 1 tablespoon tomato paste that I've frozen in the past. I freeze in these little plastic packets just to thicken it up a little bit. They're frozen right now, but they'll thaw out quickly. And I just want this to cook more, so that's why I turned up the heat to high. And we'll see what happens in the next hour. I put a little bit of this in a bowl so I could taste it, and I decided it needs another teaspoon of the chili powder. Like I said last time, I had turned the temperature up to high. I kind of wish I had done that earlier. And I'm deciding that this is more like a vegetarian chili soup than it is chili. It's just not that thick with a tomato base thing going on. So I'm glad I turned it up to high, and you probably already figured out by the title of the video that I'm going to put the word soup in there, just because it is more soup-like. But it's going to have that chili taste because of the chili powder. And I'm just going to cook it a little bit longer, mostly because it's the rice that I'm checking now. But now that I think about it, I didn't taste the potato, but that's probably done. But you can always just scoop a little bit in a small bowl and let it cool down and taste it to see if you like it. I don't even know that I'm going to need salt and pepper. If I do, I'm only going to put in maybe a half a teaspoon of salt, maybe a quarter teaspoon of pepper. When I plate up this chili, it actually looks like this in the bowl. And this is why I changed the name to vegetarian chili soup, because it is more of a soup. But it tastes good. And again, if you've tasted any vegetarian chilies in the past and it was just like a mouthful of beans or a mouthful of soy something, this is a nice change because it actually has vegetables in it. So give it a try and write a comment about what you think of the taste.